The hull of the Vanguard vibrated like a tuning fork as it sliced through a field of starlit debris. Red warning lights strobed inside the bridge, while the void outside pulsed with swirling chaos, a living, bleeding wound in space. Draven's eyes locked on the main viewport, mind racing with calculations faster than the ship's AI. "Vanguard, stabilize our trajectory!" Draven barked, voice cracking with tension. A calm synthetic voice replied, "Course correction initiated, Dr. Alara Draven. However, gravitational distortion at 70% and rising." The ship's captain, a gruff woman's scars running down her jawline, slammed her fist onto the armrest. "All hands, brace for impact. If this is the edge of the nebula paradox, we're further in than anyone's ever gone." Draven gripped the console, knuckles white. His entire life was equations, graphs, and cosmic theories. Now every law he trusted was changing in real time. Nearby, Navigator Quinn, a sardonic, four-armed alien, flicked switches with mechanical precision. "That shimmer in the void. Look! It's fractaling." Quinn's low voice rumbled. "No known signature matches. We're on our own." The Vanguard shuddered again, thrown by another rupture. Static garbled through the comms. Draven's mind flashed to the symposium on Mars, the arrogance of those who scoffed when he warned them. The paradox was accelerating, unraveling the thin threads between realities, and only his wild, desperate theory held any hope of closure. A panel erupted in a shower of sparks. The ship's AI, Calliope, filtered through the chaos. "Anomaly ahead. Energy readings peak beyond the spectrum. Recommend immediate evasive maneuvers." The captain's eyes glinted with steel. "Quinn, plot an escape vector." Draven's fingers trembled as he activated the experimental scanner he'd spent years perfecting. It chirped and flickered, then spat out a faint, impossible map, a hidden corridor through the paradox. "Follow this heading," Draven shouted. "It's the only shot we've got. Trust me." For a heartbeat, doubt hung thick in the air. Quinn smirked. "I trust people who make the impossible just barely possible." With the crew's fate, and perhaps all existence resting on calculations scribbled in starlight, Draven guided the Vanguard straight into the heart of the unknown. The Odyssey had begun, and the universe would never be the same. The sound of alarms faded as the Vanguard slipped through the corridor Draven had mapped. For a moment, silence pressed in, a heavy, unnatural quiet broken only by the humming core beneath their feet. Draven slumped back, dizzy with relief and adrenaline. Quinn patted two of his own shoulders, eyes wide and unblinking. "That was either genius, or you just rolled dice with our lives, human." "I'll take genius for now," Draven muttered, wiping sweat from his brow. "Did we actually get through?" Calliope's voice echoed with a faint edge of awe. "We are inside the paradox's event horizon. Local physics are unstable, but hull integrity remains uncompromised." The main viewport cleared, revealing a dazzling vista. Inside the paradox, the cosmos twisted. Nebula shimmered with impossible colors, planetary rings spiraled into infinity, and vast geometric shapes flickered at the edges of perception. Gravity bent and reformed with every heartbeat. A blue sphere, unmistakably artificial, hung at the center of this chaos, pulsing with a rhythm like a mechanical heart. The captain stood, jaw clenched. "That's not any black hole I've ever seen. Quinn, scan that thing." "Draven, what are we looking at?" Quinn's hands blurred across the controls, his voice tense. "The object is broadcasting, but the signals, ancient, encrypted like nothing in our databanks." Draven's mind danced with data and dread. This could be one of the ancients' beacons, right from the legends. If it's powering the paradox, maybe we can shut it down, or at least understand what's happening. The Vanguard drifted closer. A string of symbols appeared on the display, glyphs in a language lost to time. The glyphs shimmered, then resolved into something crude but unmistakable, a map with their ship at its center. Calliope's synthetic voice trembled for the first time. "I detect a foreign intelligence attempting interface. Should I allow contact?" Draven swallowed. The stakes were higher than ever. If the paradox spread, every universe in its reach could unravel. "We came for answers. Patch it through, Calliope. Let's see what the truth really looks like." The bridge lights dimmed. Symbols flickered across every terminal. A voice, deep and echoing with ages, boomed from the speakers. "Travelers, the hour grows late. Who seeks the knowledge forbidden by the void?" The bridge of the Vanguard pulsed with spectral light from the alien glyphs as the unfamiliar voice resonated through every surface. Draven's breath hitched. This was it, the moment when myth met reality. Captain Liang signaled for calm, her eyes never leaving the flickering map. "This is Captain Liang of the starship Vanguard. We seek answers to the Nebula Paradox." "What is this place?" The voice answered, each word like a tolling bell. "This nexus is the keystone. It was forged before memory, a bulwark against entropy. Now the seals fail, unwound by those who covet power. Why have you come, child of Earth?" Draven stepped forward, his voice quivering but growing stronger with every word. "I'm Draven. I saw the changes rippling from this paradox long before the Syndicate cared. If we can't stop it, everything, our world's history's families will vanish. Please, give us a chance to fix this." For a moment, nothing but static filled the air. Then, unexpectedly, Quinn leaned toward Draven and whispered, "You ever talk back to a god before?" It broke the tension. Draven grinned weakly. "First time. Feels like trial by fire." The glyphs flashed, now appearing as blueprints, orbital diagrams, even strands of DNA. The voice, less ominous, replied, "You hold a fragment of understanding. To mend what is torn, you must seek the prism core. It lies sealed within the Rift Citadel, beyond the bands of unreality. Beware, others pursue the same prize for darker reasons." A new image unfurled, a battered citadel floating at the paradox's wild edge. Shadows circled it, too swift and sharp to be anything natural. As Draven stared, a flurry of encrypted messages lit up the comms. The Vanguard wasn't alone. Calliope's tone hardened with urgency. Multiple ships detected, no known registries. Intergalactic Syndicate signatures confirmed. They're closing in fast. The captain's face set with resolve. "Options, team. We could try to sneak past, bluff our way inside, or fight." Quinn gave a sharp-toothed grin. "I'd rather bet on Draven's impossible math than a firefight with Syndicate mercenaries." Draven squared his shoulders, meeting everyone's gaze. "I can mask our quantum signature, just for a window, but someone has to interface with the beacon manually. It's not without risk." The crew's eyes turned to him, trust and uncertainty mingling in the artificial twilight. Liang laid a steady hand on his shoulder. "If we're going to save the universe, we start with you. Ready?" Draven nodded, feeling something new flickering to life inside. A spark of courage he'd never known he had. Together, they braced for the Citadel and the dangers waiting just beyond the edge of reality. Shadows streaked past the Vanguard as the ship coasted under Draven's fragile quantum mask, weaving between erratic spatial folds and the icy silhouettes of Syndicate cruisers. Bones felt heavy, senses dulled. Draven clutched the manual interface kit to his chest, a strange patchwork of his own inventions and relics scavenged from ancient archives. Quinn's gaze flicked between the scanners and the Citadel ahead. "Timing's tight, Draven. Windows closing. And those Syndicate ships won't play nice if we glitch." "Just get me as close to the main spire as you can," Draven murmured, voice steadier than he felt. "Calliope, status on enemy proximity?" "The nearest cruiser is inside 500 kilometers and scanning actively. Time is critical." Captain Liang's jaw worked. "We get one chance. Quinn, deploy the decoy drones." With a tap of his many fingers, Quinn released a swarm of dispersal pods. Instantaneously, the Citadel's outer defenses came alive, flickering with unfamiliar energy fields, firing at ghosts. The Vanguard dove through the confusion, skimming the surface until it hovered above a gaping breach in the Citadel's main spire. "Draven, go!" Long barked. Suit sealed and heart-pounding, Draven crossed the airlock threshold, tethered to the ship by a flickering mag cable. Everything outside shimmered like a heat wave, the thin line dividing reality and chaos. Inside the spire, echoes of vanished civilizations sang through the old metal. Gigantic crystal shards jutted from the floor, humming with a resonance that tingled in Draven's bones. Intricate glyphs crawled across every surface. Suddenly, a voice, disjointed and distorted, boomed through the spire. "Unauthorized. Turn back, child of flesh. This place is curse and promise both." Draven fumbled with the interface, voice shaking. "I'm here to mend what's broken. I carry a fragment, a piece of the solution. Please." The glyphs pulsed. A faint image appeared before him, a projection of a long-extinct alien, grief etched into every line. "All who reach for the prism core pay the price. Some lose hope, some lose their minds." Back on the Vanguard, calls crackled in overlines. Quinn shouted, "Draven, Syndicate strike teams breached the lower levels. You've got minutes at most." Draven's determination hardened. "I'm not leaving until I try. Patch me through to the core." Now. Lights flared and the barrier shimmered open. Draven plunged forward deeper into the citadel where the true heart of the paradox awaited, a prize that could save existence or doom it forever. The prism core chamber unfolded around Draven like a living dream. Crystal columns spiraled into unfathomable heights, weaving networks of radiant energy from the room's center. The core itself, levitating and spinning with fragments of every star Draven had ever studied shining inside. Every footstep echoed with the weight of time and consequence. Back on the Vanguard, the bridge quaked with tension. Quinn's hands flickered over controls. Syndicate teams are in the transit tunnels. Can't hold them off with tricks much longer. Captain Liang barked. Lock down all non-essential systems. Keep our engines hot. We may need to punch through. Draven's earpiece hummed as Calliope's filtered tones slipped through the static. Dr. Draven, interface with the core quickly. The others are adapting to our presence. Pausing before the swirling relic, Draven pressed the interface kit against a crystalline node. The machine hissed, rejecting him at first. The chamber's spectral guardian flickered into sight, formless but ancient. You gamble with realities, mortal. Why should I allow this? Swallowing his fear, Draven faced the apparition. I know fear and loss. My world may not last another cycle, and neither will yours. If you let me try, I'll risk myself first. The guardian searched him, icy wind swirling through Draven's memory. His quiet childhood on Luna, the disgrace of his theories, Liang's faith in him mere weeks ago. Slowly, hesitation melted to resolve. Draven let go of old doubts. We can repair what's broken, if you trust me. A moment's stillness, then the crystal lattice parted, letting Draven connect the interface. Instantly, the core's data poured in. Ancient voices, universal equations, a holographic flood of realms spiraling and fracturing. Patterns began to emerge. Draven's mind burned, the universe's wounds pulsed beneath his skin. Just as connections started to stabilize, Quinn's frantic voice crackled in his ear. Draven, Syndicate heavy units, right on your tail! You gotta move! Draven grit his teeth, pushing through. Almost there, just a little longer. Liang, prepare for a full power surge. I'll signal when I've aligned the core. The core's defenses responded, firing bursts of lucid energy as Syndicate drones breached the chamber. Gunfire ricocheted off crystal, Syndicate agents shouting, "Get away from that core!" For the first time, Draven raised his head, voice strong. No, we're finishing this, whatever the cost. The battle for the Prism Core exploded around him, a pivotal moment that would decide the fate of universes yet unlived. Sparks flew as Syndicate agents stormed into the chamber, armored suits bristling with weapons. Energy bolts screamed past Draven's head, smashing crystal shards into shimmering dust. His heart thundered, but he didn't flinch. The interface kit glowed white-hot in his hand. On the bridge, Quinn shouted, "Shields dropping. We've got hostiles on internal sensors, security bots engaging, but it's a mess." Captain Liang's voice was iron. "Hold firm. Draven, you have to do this now. Everything else is a distraction." At the core, Draven locked eyes with the lead Syndicate enforcer, a tall, visor-shrouded figure. They raised their weapon, voice cold. "Step away, scientist. The paradox belongs to us now." Draven stared them down. "If you take the core, you'll rip reality wide open. You have no idea what you're handling." The enforcer sneered. "That's the point. With this power, worlds are nothing. Move." Suddenly, the spectral guardian reappeared, swirling like a storm between Draven and the Syndicate. "Your hearts are darkness. You shall not claim what you do not understand." A pulse of energy knocked the agents back, buying Draven seconds. He seized the moment, jamming the interface deeper and reciting the patterns he'd seen in the data flood. The core's light flared, pain screamed through his mind, past shame and despair, into a bright, clear purpose. He glimpsed layers of reality, all bound together by fragile threads. The lead enforcer fired wildly, energy bolts sizzling past Draven's face. He dove aside, rolling to shield the interface. A stray bolt struck his arm with a jolt of agony, but he pressed forward, gritting his teeth. "I won't let you, any of you, destroy what we still have." The core began to change, cycling through frequencies. Draven's voice was ragged, but unwavering. "Liang, hit the Citadel with a charge, now!" On the ship, Quinn slammed the controls. "Brace for impact." A surge from the Vanguard's drives rippled through the Citadel. The chamber shuddered. Beams of impossibly bright energy shot from the core, intertwining space and time itself. The Syndicate agents stumbled, shields cracking. The lead enforcer lunged, but the spectral guardian knocked them clear across the chamber. For an instant, Draven found rhythm within the chaos, something he'd never felt before. Connection, clarity, hope. It's working. We can stabilize it. The tides had shifted. In the heart of the storm, the underdog was fighting not just for survival, but for every living being, and for the right to choose hope over ruin. The prism core throbbed with impossible energy, threads of light winding through every fracture in the citadel. Draven could feel his pulse matching the chambers, his fractured concentration somehow synchronizing with the patterns revealed in the depths of ancient data. Quinn's voice rattled in his ear over a background chorus of alarms. Security bots are falling. Syndicate backup inbound. We're readying the engines for a hard break, but we can't hang on much longer. Draven risked a glance toward the battered corridor. The lead Syndicate enforcer dragged themselves upright, helmet half melted, one side of their body sparking. You're not a hero, the enforcer spat. All you'll make is a different kind of ruin. Draven's voice was surprisingly calm. I'm not trying to be a hero. I just can't let you win. Not when everything is at stake. A new tremor tore through the citadel, crystals shattering like frail glass. The spectral guardian, wavering, flickered beside Draven. Hurry, child of stars. The convergence is nearly upon us. Fingers shaking, Draven rewired the interface kit, rerouting power directly from his suit to the core. Transmission field ready? Activating now. The core blazed, sending a lattice of energy bursting through the paradox. Draven's mind filled with starlit equations. He saw pathways aligning, boundaries knitting together. But he also saw reverberations beyond. The cracks were healing too slowly. He needed more, something no formula alone could give. A memory flashed, Liang's unwavering faith, Quinn's sly encouragement, even the lost futures whispered by the Guardian. For the first time, Draven opened himself up completely. Not just physics, he whispered. Intent, purpose, that's the true catalyst. The core's light bathed every surface, enveloping Draven and the Syndicate agent. The enforcer's weapon faltered, eyes reflecting terror and awe. What are you doing? Draven, teeth clenched, forced past the pain. Showing the universe we choose unity over conquest. On the bridge, Captain Liang gripped Quinn's arm. He's changing it. Not just the paradox, something deeper. He's actually doing it. The core responded to Draven's intent, the glyphs on its surface blooming into new, hopeful constellations. The fabric of the paradox began to heal, slowly, at the hands of a human who'd spent his life outmatched by the cosmos. But just outside, a darker storm gathered. The Syndicate fleet had seen everything, and they would put the fragile peace at risk all over again. Draven slumped against a crystalline pedestal, fingers still buzzing from the energy that had passed through him. The core's radiance was softer now, flowing out into the far reaches of the paradox, weaving space-time like a gentle loom. For the first time since the journey began, it felt like the darkness could lose. Yet the chamber vibrated with a new, ominous rumble. Quinn's panicked voice snapped into Draven's earpiece. Syndicate reinforcements have docked. Dozens of signals. Their flagship's powering up something big. We need you back here now. Captain Liang's tone was grave but composed. We're outmatched. If they breach the bridge before you return, it's over. Quinn and I will hold them as long as we can. Draven forced himself up, grabbing the interface kit. Nearby, the spectral guardian manifested one final time. You have mended the wound, child of stars. But this citadel is now a beacon. The greedy will always come. Draven's gaze hardened. Then we make sure the beacon only shines for those who will protect, not destroy. The guardian's fading form inclined its head. May your courage ripple beyond what even I can see. Blaster fire boomed down the corridor. Syndicate troopers streamed in, the lead enforcer limping with stubborn fury. You're not leaving with the core. None of you are. Draven's resolve solidified. We're not taking it. We're repairing the universe. There's nothing left for you. He raised the interface, channeling a final surge into the Citadel's defense systems. Panels flickered, bulkhead doors slammed shut, cutting the Syndicate agents off from the inner sanctum. Quinn's voice broke through static, desperate but elated. Draven, you legend, you bought us a minute. You've got a clear shot back, but move. Draven sprinted through halls that twisted with unreality, reaching the waiting airlock as panels behind him slammed closed. On board, he almost collapsed onto the bridge. Liang caught his arm, eyes shining. You did it. Whatever happens now, that was more than anyone believed. But across the viewport, the Syndicate's flagship lit up, its main weapon charging, raw power aimed straight at the Vanguard and the barely mending Paradox. Alarms screamed. Quinn's fingers danced. They'll blast the core, undo everything. Unless we make a stand. Suggestions, hero? Draven's mind roared through dark exhaustion. We need to shield the core and ourselves. But we're outgunned, outnumbered. A long beat. Liang squared her shoulders. Not out of hope. If we can unify the ship's quantum signature with the core, maybe we can channel its defenses. Draven, can you make that work? He nodded, eyes fierce. We're not running, we're standing. For everyone, let's rewrite the odds. The Vanguard's engines lit up, ready for one last, universe-saving maneuver. As the flagship's weapon counted down to doomsday, the Vanguard shook beneath the furious onslaught of Syndicate fire. Red warnings blared everywhere as the flagship charged its superweapon, ready to tear the Citadel and the newly mending universe apart. Draven's hands quivered over the starboard console, the last traces of core energy flickering in his veins. Quinn cursed. Shields down to 30%. Another hit and we'll scatter across a dozen timelines. Captain Liang's voice rang out relentless, her leadership never more evident. Everyone to your posts. Draven, you have the bridge. Quinn, start the quantum link-up sequence now! For a second, Draven froze. All he heard was his own fearful heartbeat. Then Quinn clapped him sharply on the shoulder. It's all on you, friend. You've come this far. Let's see what crazy genius can do. Draven drew in a slow breath, his old doubts shriveling in the heat of their desperation. With Liang and Quinn working at his sides and the remaining crew backing him up, he threw everything into establishing a quantum connection. A fusion between the ship and the core's field. The core pulsed, sending a ribbon of blue light through every conduit. The entire Vanguard vibrated, systems flickering under the strain. Syndicate cannon fire hammered the hull plating threatening to give way at any second. On the flagship, the Syndicate leaders sneered, prepare to fire, wipe them from existence. But inside the Vanguard, Draven's calculations, now emboldened by hope and the lessons of trust, aligned the core's defensive matrix over the ship. In the chamber below, glyphs spun dazzlingly, accepting the unity of human intent. Suddenly, a lattice of pure energy blossomed around the Vanguard, blending ship and relic into a single shield, a patchwork of memory, willpower, and impossible science. Quinn whooped, seeing shields rebound to 100%. You did it! The core's shielding us and the Citadel. Liang grinned fiercely. Ready the return volley. Draven's voice, now calm, resolved, undaunted, gave the order. Let's show them what human courage and unity really mean. As the Syndicate's doomsday weapon fired, the Vanguard's new shield held fast, light blooming through the void. The flagship's beam shattered against their defense, energy cascading back toward the attacker, frying their weapon systems and disabling the ship. On the bridge, disbelief and jubilation mingled. Quinn punched the console. Never thought I'd see the day! Draven, you brilliant lunatic! But Draven saw the Paradox's lingering fractures out the viewport. Still delicate, still under threat if anyone ever breached this place again. Their mission wasn't over. Now they needed to ensure the wounds healed, and stayed healed. And, most of all, they needed to decide what to do with the secret of the core, with the eyes of the universe suddenly upon them. The hush settling over the Vanguard's bridge was almost as dizzying as the battle itself. Wreckage of Syndicate ships drifted outside, caught in the radiance of the rejuvenated core and the shimmering starlight shield the crew had woven from hope and ingenuity. Every crew member stared in awe. This was more than survival. It was a beginning. Draven, hands finally steady, surveyed the displays. The Paradox's fractures sealed themselves in real time, the rift mending under the union of purpose, technology, and something older, intention itself. On every screen, the swirling colors stilled into harmony. Captain Liang's voice, quiet with pride, broke the spell. You saved us all, Draven, and you changed the rules. What happens now? Draven turned to the team that had become his family. We have the chance to make sure the knowledge and power here protect every future. But the core can't stay in reach. Not as long as anyone hungers for control. Quinn nodded grimly. Bury it. Hide it where only the worthy can ever find it again. You've seen what greed does. Draven smiled. the weight of old failures finally melting. We'll encode a failsafe, tie the core's access to unity and compassion, not conquest. We'll design guardians, teach others what we learned. This is wisdom for the next era. Calliope's projection pulsed on the comms, her circuits touched by something almost like wonder. Incoming transmissions from every quadrant, news of the paradox healing, the syndicate's defeat, alliances forming. You have inspired not only those here, but all who watched from afar. A bittersweet heaviness settled in Draven's chest. We're not the only underdogs out there. If we can do this, maybe others can too. Coordinate the beacon's dispersal, Liang ordered. Let every civilization know the paradox is mended. Make it clear, the true boundary is what we do for each other. The Vanguard's engines fired. Together, Captain Liang, Quinn Draven, and the crew cast the core, now protected by layers of test and meaning, deep into the cosmic tapestry. Only those who proved themselves worthy could approach again. Before leaving the chamber for the last time, Draven paused by the lingering spectral guardian, now no more than a ripple through starlight. "Thank you," Draven whispered, "for believing in hope." A final moment, the guardian's presence enveloping Draven like a warm wind. "It is your courage I believed in. Carry it forward. The Odyssey never truly ends." As the Vanguard arced away from the fading nebula paradox, stars unfolded ahead, unknown and alive with promise. Draven glanced at his friends, the universe gleaming beyond the glass. Hope had remade reality, and humanity, for the first time, knew they belonged among the stars. The journey would go on, but now anything was possible.